Let's bring on a guy that we haven't spoken to in quite some time right now. Ladies and gentlemen, Fox Sports, Mark Schlereth. Good to see you, Mark. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Rich, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I saw you on my screen last week, but remind me where you were last week?
I was in Houston, calling the Texans versus the Cardinals.
All right. Let me just hit you on this one before we get started.
Yeah.
What are the Cardinals going to do, you think? I mean, has Kyler Murray played his last down? What sense did you get there when you spoke to everybody, Mark?
Yeah, pure speculation on my part, but I totally feel like they'll move on from Kyler Murray. And I think one of the big things, Rich, for me, just watching this league and studying this league is you have got to have a quarterback that can win pre-snap as opposed to post-snap. Like, I love a quarterback that can make things happen post-snap, a guy that can run around and make a few plays here and there, but you cannot play off schedule. You got to be on schedule. I call it the 70-30 rule. 30% of the time you can play off schedule when things break down, because things are going to break down. And you've got to be able to make plays, or you've got to make decisions from the neck up when they do break down. When you rely on the neck down ability, and you're more on a 50-50 scale, as you're trying to create post-snap, you'll make SportsCenter highlights, man. You'll make a ton of them. But in those SportsCenter highlights, you know what's going to happen to you? You're going to lose games. And so for me, I go back to not only kind of my roots, but the way the league truly operates. It's the Mannings, it's the Bradys, it's the Matt Staffords, it's the Jared Goffs. It's those guys who aren't scrambling around, that are pre-snap dissecting the defense and just letting it eat. Right, and getting the ball out and creating opportunities in space for their receivers to make plays once they catch the ball. Those are the guys, to me, that have success. And Kyler Murray is a guy that is unbelievably athletic, unbelievably gifted. But I just believe that when you make decisions under duress that are the neck down decisions, rely on my body to make a play, make a big play, make a big throw. Hey, man, it's going to look good and you're going to create highlights, but you're ultimately going to lose games. And I think they move on because of that.
Yeah, and Brissett has shown the way. Obviously, we've seen Trey McBride succeed before, but he's just absolutely taken off as arguably the best tight end in the NFL. And Michael Wilson is going off in ways that we haven't seen since Larry Fitzgerald with that organization. And one was just assuming Marvin Harrison Jr. will follow suit when he's healthy. We'll see what happens as we move forward here. As Mark Schlereth joining us here on Disney Plus and ESPN, the app, back here on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Mark Schlereth, NFL on Fox analyst here, and we were just talking in the television-only segment about how you have to have quarterbacks in this league who can dissect a defense pre-snap. Neck up is more important maybe even than neck down ability. And I'm assuming that's why Phillip Rivers can come off the couch at age 44 and almost win a football game, right, Mark?
Dude, how crazy is that? And what statement does that make about the NFL? The NFL in general right now, I was talking to a defensive coordinator here recently, 2 weeks ago, the current coordinator in the league, and he said never has there been a time in the NFL where there's more arm talent and less quarterbacks. And and I was like, wow, that's really good, because it's true. And it's not college's job. I understand it's not the college's job to develop quarterbacks for the NFL. They're playing the style with which they play. But man, I'm telling you what, it says a lot when there's not one guy on somebody else's practice squad, not one guy in your own practice squad or your backup that you feel like gives you a better chance to win than 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. And, he shot put. He did give me vibes of the hefty lefty Jared Lorenzen, God rest his soul. But, he came out there competitive. They did a great job from a game planning standpoint of getting the ball out of his hands quickly, lots of screens, a lot of quick game, just moving the ball, that classic Phillip Rivers shot put style. But he gave them a chance at the end of that game where they kick a 60-yard field goal from Groupie to go ahead in that game. And Seattle drives it back down, and Matt, I'm sorry, Sam Darnold does a great job finding Rashid Shaheed and creating a couple of big throws to end that game with a 55-yard field goal. But just an amazing game, an amazing accomplishment, and I loved what Philip had to say, because I just believe in this. Fear sets so many of us back. Fear keeps us from doing things that we want to do just because we're afraid of the outcome. And Philip said, hey, the easy decision would be to sit home. The easy decision would not be to do it, but I'm not going to let fear kind of capture me. I'm going to go ahead and face that, stare that fear down and go out there and give it my best. That there's a very valuable lesson that Philip Rivers kind of taught us all in that moment. And I really appreciate what he said, and I really appreciate him, putting it on the line and going out there and playing.
Me too, brother. Go for it, dadgummit. You know what I mean? Like that is a message that he said he wanted to deliver to the kids that he's coaching, to boys and girls all over America, if not the world. Dadgummit, just go for it. And now he's going to take on the 49ers. I mean, so many big games. You're calling one with the Panthers and the Bucs playing each other for the first of two times in the next 3 weeks to finish up the season. We'll talk about that in a moment. I've got Mark Schlereth here on the Rich Eisen Show. Packers and Broncos viewed as a measuring stick game for both teams. Now that we can observe the measuring stick and see where the viscosity landed, what do you got for me on the Broncos off of that game, reading the measuring stick? Mark?
Interestingly enough, Rich, if you go through the Broncos season, they really offensively, they led the league in 3-and-outs. They were second in the league in 3-and-outs going into the last weekend, but most of the season they led the league in 3-and-outs. They really had only put together a few quarters of really good offensive football, and they happened to be in the fourth quarter coming back from the Giants, coming back against the Philadelphia Eagles. They had one really good game against the Cowboys where they really orchestrated. But these last 3 or 4 weeks, man, they've been the picture of efficiency. Against the Raiders a couple of weeks ago, they had 2 14-play drives, 1 19-play drive that lasted over 10 minutes. And then the one kind of criticism, well, Bo hasn't really been accurate down the football field. Well, now you couple that last week against a Green Bay defense that's really good, where not only were they able to possess the ball, be able to score in the red zone, but Bo made some big throws. That 4th down and 3 to Cortland Sutton down the sideline was a big-time throw. He's really started to play well, less frenetic in the pocket, really good about escaping, still getting the ball down the football field. The Broncos all of a sudden have become a complete football team in the last couple of weeks, where this offense is starting to match what that defense did early in the season, keeping them in games. And they're a dangerous football team in the AFC right now.
Well, what's the difference between playing a game like that and then the one that's coming up for them, where they are the measuring stick for another team, right? Jacksonville comes in. You've called some Jacksonville games. I called one. They don't look anything like the team that I saw in London right now. They are balling out. They are feeling confident. They are, I think, an extension of the attitude of their head coach right now, which is what is a sign of a positive result in the NFL. What do you make of Jacksonville? You also just saw Houston too, brother.
So. Yeah. Interestingly enough, Liam Cohen is that guy, that very much like Sean Payton, in that he doesn't really care what you think, Rich. He doesn't care what I think. And he doesn't care what anybody else thinks either, man. He is going to do what he does, and he's not afraid to say something that, can be misconstrued. He's not afraid to say something that might get under your skin. He's very honest with his guys. And I think one of the things, this is a Sean Payton thing, but I think it goes to Liam Cohen. It goes to some of the really good coaches in this league. Like, I think I called a Saints game a couple of years ago, right after Sean Payton walked away and went to broadcasting for a year. And a long-term employee over at the Saints told me, hey, man, the issue with this football team is Sean Payton walked out of the building and the fear walked out with him. The fear the coaching staff had, the fear the players had. And it's not just fear like I'm scared. There's a biblical sense to the word fear as well. The biblical sense of fear is awesome reverence or respect. right? You've got to have that type of fear for your coach. Then there's also the fear of that guy will fire my ass if I don't get my block, right? Like that type of fear is also important. And I think the great coaches, combine those things where they can really get after your butt, but they also demand respect and they also develop relationships. And I think Liam Cohen's that way. I think Sean Payton's that way. You mentioned the Houston Texans. Their head coach is that way. DeMeco Ryans is incredible that way. So those guys really have a sense of how to get the best out of their players. And one thing, Liam Cohen, and the reason he got the job, talking to Tony Baselli and talking to the principals of that organization, is because he didn't sell them on, hey man, I'm going to develop the quarterback and I'm going to we're going to throw the ball around the yard and we're going to do this. He sold himself on, we are going to run the football. Everything that we do is going to be based off our running game, and everything fits off the way we run the football. And that's what sold the Jacksonville Jaguars on Liam Cohen and why he's the head coach of the Jags right now.
Mark Schlereth, three-time Super Bowl champ from Fox Sports, here on the Rich Eisen Show. Crystal ball the NFC North for me, Mark, because we just saw the Packers lose and they lost Micah Parsons on top of it. Fox has got a big doubleheader coming up this weekend where the Packers and the Bears face each other again. The Bears are now in first place in the NFC North right now by a half game, while the Detroit Lions take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then Green Bay takes on Baltimore in Week 17, while Chicago visits San Francisco on Sunday Night Football, and the Detroit Lions have the Minnesota Vikings on Christmas Day already in the books. And then the final weekend of the season, when Green Bay takes on Minnesota and the Lions and the Bears play one another. The Bears finish either in first place, wild card, or even potentially out of the playoffs. Walk me through who makes it and who doesn't, and where do you think, Mark Schlereth?
Yeah, I think obviously the Micah Parsons thing is devastating. That guy plays so hard. He's so multiple in what he does and where he lines up. And it's one of the things that I thought Dallas did wrong with him, is he just lined up on the edge too often. And, you break a huddle as an offensive lineman, that's the first guy you're going to find. Like, where is that dude and how are we going to deal with him, right? That's the first thing. And when he's always on the edge, it's much easier either to slide to him, to get double teams to him, with the tight end, whatever the case may be, chip with the back, all those things. But when you start moving him around from one end to the other end off the ball as an off the ball linebacker, then it really messes with your communication and how you're going to block that dude. So losing him is devastating for the Green Bay Packers. Even with that said, I still think the Green Bay Packers are the best team in the North right now. And it's not by a long way, but I think they're the best team. The Christian Watson news was big for them. Him not being, him not going to miss, it doesn't look like he's going to miss time. That's huge, or at least that's what I heard yesterday.
Right.
So that's big time, because he's the one lift the top of coverage guy, take it deep, that opens up all those underneath routes and some of the big plays they get on the crossers and all that stuff. So I think that's big for them. But the Micah Parsons thing is devastating without question. I still think, even with that injury, I still think the Packers are slightly better than both Chicago and Detroit. To your point, I think Chicago makes it as a wild card team. And right now, I'm looking at the Detroit Lions as the team that's kind of odd man out in that division.
Which means they're the odd man out maybe in the conference as well. That's the crystal ball from Mark Schlereth. And the time I have with you left, I'd like to preview something and review something. Let's preview the game you got, man. This is it. This is what a contest you are in the booth for this coming Sunday. It is the first of two times that the two teams tied at 7-7 atop the NFC North see each other. Tampa at Carolina. You have the floor. What happens, do you think?
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting, because Carolina is one of those teams that, like, what are they, 12 straight losses when they're favored? It's just unbelievable. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde nature of the Carolina Panthers is just really interesting to me. I thought where Tampa really screwed up against Atlanta, I thought they busted some coverage stuff. They weren't very good getting the back out of the backfield. They just busted assignments. You saw Todd Bowles, my former teammate, just go off on them. But the biggest issue to me was, man, they could not block the front of the Atlanta Falcons. They were horrible. Baker Mayfield looked sped up because he's so used to being pressured, so used to somebody in his face on a consistent basis. This is really tough. I still think the dynamic nature of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the offense, with Mike Evans back, with Chris Godwin, those players they have back, I still think they've got the chance to be in this ball game, to make some big plays and win it. After that just ass chewing that Todd Bowles gave in the post-game press conference, I loved it.
It sounded like a truck backing up, man. We counted 10 beeps, 10 of them.
I loved it, because going back and studying the film last night, gap assignment football was unsound. Coverage was unsound. Tackling, all the things that Tampa prides themselves on with the pressure they bring, especially in critical situations, like all the things that they do, their staple of things that they lean on and that they hang their hats on, they didn't do any of them well. And so I understand how pissed off he was. And good, like, you should be held accountable. And so I really didn't have any problem. We'll see how they respond to that. But I'm thinking if they're made of what I think they're made of, they're going to respond to that and play well.
All right. And last one for you. Looking back, here lies the 2025 Kansas City Chiefs. I want Mark Schlereth to eulogize the Kansas City Chiefs. Why are they out of the playoffs with 3 games to go, Mark?
Yeah. Kansas City Chiefs, it's like I never knew you. Hasta la vista. Good for you guys. Enjoy Cancun. Now, I feel bad about stomping on the graves of Kansas City Chiefs because of the Mahomes injury. Ultimately, the things that they have been so good at, the magic between Mahomes and Travis Kelce just was not there. Their ability to get a key stop whenever they seemed to need it on the defensive side was not there. They were not able to make the critical plays in critical moments. And I'm just going to say, and I'll chalk it up to, they have played more football than anybody on the planet over the last 7 years. And it just feels to me like it finally caught up to them. Like they had no gas in the tank. They've been an unbelievable champion. They have put together an unreal dynasty. And as long as they have Mahomes and Mahomes comes back healthy, which I'm assuming he will, they're going to be okay. They'll be back in the fight next year.
Yeah, he had surgery apparently last night to repair an ACL and reportedly an LCL, maybe 9 months if it can work out, which would put him in line to start next year, or at least try and get things up to speed. And I was talking about it yesterday about all the mistake-prone football that they were playing. By the way, to back up your opinion with numbers, 107 wins for the Chiefs, including playoffs, in the 7-year span that Mahomes has been the starter. That's the most of any 7-year stretch of any team at any time in the history of the National Football League. But I'll go here with you to finish up. And I was saying, in my opinion yesterday, this is going to be fun, that everybody out there that is celebrating the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs will miss them in the playoffs. We will miss them. We will miss their buzz. We'll miss Mahomes versus fill in the blank. We'll miss those final possessions. That opinion, Mark, you should know, went over on the social media sphere like a liquid wind in a house of worship. Mark,
yes.
Mark.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, based on your look, you would agree with that.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, man.
Oh, okay.
I actually agree with you.
All right.
Listen. Yeah. I was told when I first retired and I got into the media business, just kind of stumbled into it. I had a wise friend of mine tell me, he said, listen, this is what you want to accomplish. You want 50% of the people to love you and 50% of the people that hate your guts. Mm-hmm. And he goes, if you can do that in this business, you're going to win. And, 27 years later or whatever it is, I'm still doing it. So that's how I feel about the Chiefs. The Chief fans love the Chiefs. The rest of us hate their guts. But I'm with you 100%. I think we'll miss them.
We'll miss them. We will miss them on a Sunday, late Sunday. Mahomes has the ball with 2 minutes to go versus, let's go Josh Allen. You know what I mean? Let's go.
You know how much I hate these guys? I'm
you hate watching them. You're going to miss the hate watch, Mark. You're
Absolutely.
See, how about that? See, guys? He agrees with me.
Well done.
He agrees with me. It's not really a 50-50 split, though, on the opinion back right now.
That's okay.
It's much worse. It's much worse than what I'm
Rich, everybody else in the studio is entitled to be wrong. They can be wrong if they want to. You can be on the wrong side of history.
It's not just the studio.
Rich and I are on the right side.
It's everybody else.
I agree with you, though.
Okay, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that sense yesterday.
No, I told you I love greatness, so it was great to watch. We're never going to see this for another year. This is like a once-in-a-generation run that they went on.
We're going to miss them.
Oh, really? Except the Patriots did it twice.
Yeah, but this generation.
This guy over there.
Generation.
By the way, Mark,
we're all the same generation.
You know what I hate about Patriot fans?
Please.
That right there, right, Mark?
Okay. Patriot fans think the league started in 2000.
Right.
That you don't remember how ass you guys were for 40 years before 2000.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Same thing with Eagles fans, Mark. They all of a sudden think that they were great for 55. No, you were awful until you won these last two.
Yeah, I love it. And by the way, as you know how Jet fans feel about you, it's not 50-50. It's more 99% and 1. And it's not this finger either that's held on, Mark. Careful, we are on Disney. All right?
Yeah.
Very good.
Not the index of the
fans. Jet fans, you're welcome. You're welcome.
For what? I don't even know. Mark, you're the best, man. Hey, have a great call. I'll be watching. We'll all be watching.
Thanks, guys.
Bucks
Take
and
care.
Panthers. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Schlereth, everybody. Check out his podcast as well.
I look forward to our talks with Mark.
Always.
Keeps it real.
He does keep it real. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.